J-Swap Contractors Matamata Breeders Group 2, Steve. Run us through this market.
Yeah, race dominated out of the Tiakau / Jamie Richards barn. I Choose You went up $3.20 each of 2 with Marvin Bell. There's genuine separation between the two fillies. I Choose You, $3.20 into $2.70, includes a $1,500 bet on I Choose You on Wednesday afternoon. Marvin Bell, $3.20 just out of turn to $3.30. Hanalei, the third stringer in terms of the marketplace, at $3.80, off a shorten of 3.6. Pacific Dragon, $6.50 out of 4 point to 7.5. Double figures around Volderzoldo at $13. And bestseller, again, a bit of money around the John Barry train galloper, bestseller, $21 into $16. But look, overall summary, and I think it's important, the fact that the top 3, as I mentioned, come out of the same barn. I Choose You a clear lead, $3.20 to $2.70.
Yeah, we're probably going to respect that early money because Jamie Richards, as Steve quite rightly points out, holds all the keys here, you would suggest. And not to say something down the page couldn't make its presence felt, but that money around I Choose You, very interesting, Pops.
Look, it's very similar to the Group 1 coming up down at Otaki, isn't it, where you see 3 strong runners out of the Jamie Richards barn in that Group 1, and we see it here in this race here. Maven Bell, Hanalei, and also I Choose You. Now let's first of all talk about I Choose You, who was caught wide when finishing third and was only still, half a length off them in the race that was eventually won by Wolverine in a promotion, and Pacific Dragon finishing second. She was gutsy in defeat there, and just found that one position they didn't want to be in, but she still finished into third position. Hanalei was a horse who backed up a very good second, and not quite things going her way behind Maven Bell to then come out and win the Wellesley. Maven Bell's just gone bang bang, and of course won a stakes race last time out in the Platinum Homes 2-year-old Classic. They both bring really good form. It's going to be interesting with horses land here in this race, and then you've got Pacific Dragon. Don't forget about her, because she is a horse who has a barrier draw on the weekend. We've seen her use barrier draws. You only have to go back to how she won when she beat Time Flies, of course, when holding that rail position, and then with how she ran, of course, in that race that she won on the track, yes, but then lost it in the room behind Wolverine. Her having a barrier draw gives her a prime chance in the race at around $7.50. Then Volderzoldo, who was that second in the 2-year-old Classic, and bestseller with how the horse ran home in both of her race day starts. He's good depth. There's, small numbers, but lots to like about the race. I find this a real head scratcher, to be honest with you. I really couldn't go one direct way on one of those 3 runners that we've spoken about out of the Jamie Richards barn, or if Pacific Dragon wants to get the right run. So, I find this one a tricky one.
Yeah, it certainly is a tricky one, Paul, and I mean, there's no doubt about that when you've got 3 Tiakau runners that are all quality and we don't know where the ceilings are. So do you have a strong field one way or the other here?
Yeah, I probably should follow the early money that we've had on I Choose You, but I've decided against that, and I really do like the look of the third Tiakau runner, well, in terms of odds, Hanalei at 380. That was a very, very good win in the Wellesley, but I thought the run before that, the second in behind Maven Bell, was even better, where she found a wee bit of trouble and she was just letting loose when she hit the 50-metre mark, I think, and she finished off very, very nicely past the post as well. So I really do like the look of Hanalei in this race at 380. Take nothing away from Maven Bell. She's done everything that's been asked of her, and the money's on I Choose You. But I just really did like the way that Hanalei finished off both her races. She's looked very, very good.
Yeah. No, just a question for you, Paul. Were you prepared to go the last 40 minutes there without Steve and I, just you and Pops? Were you ready to go? Would you think you had the talent to do it?
I was just sending a text through to see if me and Pops were going to be able to split your and Steve's paycheck for this one, because if that was the case, I was ready to go the whole hour.
Yeah, exactly. You got the cash, you'd do anything. Fair enough. Steve, the 3 Tiakau runners. Look, you settled on I Choose You. No, I would have thought that was quite a hard decision. I mean, I may have thought Maven Bell might have been favourite in this race off the back of 2 wins, but you got on I Choose You and you've been justified because the money has come early.
Yeah, tricky race. There was a bit of a disparity between the team who would go up fave. We went 3.20 each of 2, Marvin Bell, I Choose You. Early money around I Choose You. And as BP mentioned, just covered extra ground at Ellerslie when shoved in the deep end in terms of the Eclipse on its second start. Might be a touch better left-handed, just the word coming out of the stable. And they're quite happy to produce this horse left-handed v right-handed, which it went that way of going at Ellerslie, but still had the audacity to box on to third after covering extra ground in the Eclipse. So, look, she wasn't eligible for the Karaka Million, so she's had to slight freshen up. Just yet to run the numbers, but probably hasn't had the opportunity to do that. I Choose You, v Marvin Bell and Hannah and just on those two. Look, Marvin Bell, just 11 out of 10 ride from Opie Boss at Tarapa last start.
Yeah.
Took the trail. I know it had a decent alley, but took the trail, paired off at the top of the straight and was too good. The winning margin was 1.5 lengths. I think it was a touch more devastating or dominant than the margin represented. I think Opie was quite kind on the filly in the last 100 metres, and the overall figure in that race was 0.4 lengths below par, but I think that's a decent figure considering what the 2-year-olds have delivered this season overall. So there's Marvin Bell, and up against Hannah Lay, the Wesley Stakes win rated 1 length inferior to Marvin Bell's Group 3 victory at Te Rapa. So look, overall, there's not much between them. It may be a popcorn kind of race for me. Just sit back and watch, and may the best potential Te Akau horse win. But just with Marvin Bell, BP, from barrier 7, Ryan Elliott does the riding. We've seen this horse not just on race day, but also at trials, have that tactical speed. I think there is potential that a position to sit outside lead if it just can't quite get across. I think this horse has got to go forward from barrier 7, put itself in the race. Do you agree there? Or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think with what we've seen from her, that's the position that they'll be looking for with her, with that slight niggly barrier draw. Pacific Dragon, is she the horse that you find landing in that forward spot, drawn in barrier number 2? She's a horse who's shown that good barrier speed in previous starts. I actually thought she was a runner that maybe presents at a touch of value if she keeps pushing out, certainly if you're looking for top 3 markets with where she's going to land.
Yeah, for sure. And I think maybe the other horse that comes into the mix in terms of the map is Gwen Stefani. Look, she's the ranky here at $51 off an opening quote of 31, but from that ace draw, maybe she can hold a spot in the first furlong or two. But yeah, I agree. Just didn't work out. Pacific Dragon missed the start in the Karaka Million. You do things wrong in the first 100, 200 metres in that race, it's almost game over, and that's what it was found around Pacific Dragon. So I'm sure Tony Pike and the team will try and work that out going to this race, because as we know, historically, Matamata on this day, Breeders' Slipper Day, advantageous to leaders.
Yeah, okay. BP, I want you to just touch on a couple of outsiders we're seeing a little bit of money for.
Yep.
One of them's Bestseller, who we had a stack for last time, to be fair. And the other one's Contagious, who was pretty good last time out, getting home late at Ellerslie. Both of those taking money at odds.
Contagious was unlucky, just got in that trailing pocket and just couldn't get out. And it was a tough watch. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts if you were on. So it deserved a shot in this race, does this runner, from just a slightly niggly draw. I do like Bestseller. I like her. I think she's a horse that I'm very excited about to see her as a 3-year-old filly, in fact. She's just, in her 2 race day starts, she has done some very good things through the line. And again, it might be all just happening a little bit late for her in this race if it is an on-speed race, but she could finish 4th again. I mean, she is $2.40 to run top 4. If it was a race where there was to be some breakneck speed, and horses like Gwen Stefani, Pacific Dragon and Maven Bell, they all go forward and there's that early rush for positions and they don't quite find their spot they're looking for, and there is good tempo on, well, it will play into the hands of a horse like this and Bestseller, who certainly does have the capability of peeling off a good late sectional. So yes, she's drawn an outside gate and she'll have to go back, but yeah, she could be a top 4 chance. Look, the only problem with a bet like that in this type of field is that we have already, before mentioning her, mentioned 5 strong chances, haven't we? 3 of them from the Jamie Richards barn. We're talking about Pacific Dragon, who can sit on speed, and we haven't even mentioned Volderzoldo, who was placed in a 2-year-old classic. So that's the issue you got to try and weigh up, is that is the $2.40 worthy of a top 4 bet? If she gets the right run, she's going to need things to happen. Then you're going to have to try and go past some well-credentialed horses in front of her. So that's the the conundrum you might have if you are trying to play a bet like that.
So what is the bet here in the Breeders' BP? What do we do?
Do we just grab Stephen Hunt's popcorn and put it on for 2 minutes in the microwave and sit back and watch? Possibly.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure what sort of popcorn Hunt he's going for, but maybe sweet and salty. I'm not sure. Look. If I was to have one choice in the race, I would have something on Pacific Dragon just because of where she's going to land, and I'm looking sort of top 2 or top 3. If you're just talking about a pure bet in the race, I'd have something on that horse. Yeah,
okay, nice bit of each way Pacific Dragon. Paulie, where did you settle? You sounded quite strong on one here.
Yeah, I do like the look of Hannah Lay, now out to 3. So on a drift out to 380, and I think if we continue to take money on the other 2 Tiako runners, I Choose You and Maven Bell, then we may see Hanalei out to 420 tomorrow. So I'll be back in Hanalei. Win.
Yeah. It'd be a race worth watching those Jamie Richards prices, though, wouldn't it? Pretty closely, just to get a sense of it all, wouldn't it?
Oh, big time, yeah. I'll be able to buy a few bags of popcorn after the race as well.
Very confident, super confident. Look, can you see the money for Contagious, understand the money for Contagious out there at $21, Steve?
Early money, but I think it will dry up race day. Naturally, we talk about the betting profiles around Jamie Richards. Look, there's no Opie Bosson, and that made it difficult. I think if Opie would have ridden at Matamata v Otaki in the Group 1, obviously he would have jumped on one of the 3 fillies, and that would have been the clear lead. We saw that in the Karaka Million, how important that can be when they've got a number of stablemates in one particular feature race, Tiakau. So that's not to be. So it made it a little bit sticky, not just for us, but also for punters to dive in early. So I think they'll need that lead from Jamie, but I haven't heard Jamie throughout the week his comments around the 3, if he's got one slightly on top. But I'm sure trackside will get him on at some stage and he'll be able to give that slight lead to punters. But the early leaders around I Choose You, the Daughter by Am Invincible, and it's an intriguing race, but a race that, if you're not going to have an investment on Saturday, watch the race 2, 3, 4 times over, because I think the majority of these horses will be running the Sistema in a couple of weeks' time, and possibly head to Alpuni in a month's time.
Yeah, okay. No, very interesting race. It'll be